Hello and welcome. Let's take a look at our top story. Our top focus remains on the big political showdown in Kenya. Now, in a historic impeachment last week, Kenyan Parliament sacked President William Ruto's deputy, Rigathi Gachagua. Now, he is the same deputy who once helped Ruto to win the 2022 presidential polls by gathering huge support for him. But today, he is not only blaming Ruto for his unfair ouster, but also for threatening his life. After his dismissal as the deputy president, Gachagua has lashed out at his former boss with some major accusations. He has accused Kenyan President William Ruto of plotting assassination attempts on him. Not once, but twice. He said that these attempts were made through food poisoning, and he detected before he could consume the food. And according to Gachagua, the first incident took place in western Kenya city of Kisumu on the 30th of August, and the second in central Kenya town of Nyeri on the 3rd of September. Gachagua alleges the state operatives, including the National Intelligence Service, were involved in the plan. He said he asked for a security change after the incidents, but now the ousted deputy says his life is in danger as his security has been withdrawn altogether. He says his entire staff has been sent on compulsory leave and William Ruto would be responsible if anything happened to him. He told the reporters, and I quote, "I am shocked by how vicious a man I helped to be president, believed in and was persecuted when I supported, could be so vicious against me," unquote. Gachagua was speaking after being discharged from hospital where he was being treated for severe chest pains. He fell abruptly ill on the day that he was supposed to defend himself in the Kenyan Senate while his impeachment trial was taking place. However, due to the last-minute illness, he did not show up, and the lawmakers moved to impeach him despite his absence. He was impeached on 5 out of 11 charges that were leveled against him. These include undermining the government and practicing ethnically divisive politics. Throughout the proceedings, William Ruto did not comment even once on the impeachment, but the president did not waste much time and quickly chose his new deputy. He swiftly nominated Interior Minister Kithure Kindiki to replace Gachagua. But the Kenyan courts are not letting the Kenyan president have it easy. A high court in Nairobi suspended the appointment process within minutes of the nomination. A 3-judge bench is due to hear the case on Tuesday. While Kenya witnesses new twists to this political drama, many in the East African countries see this as a government tactic to distract the public from other pressing issues. They see the impeachment process as unfair and disappointing.
I am not happy with Gachagua's impeachment. It's a painful one because Gachagua, as our leader, fought for our rights. He defended the common people. He didn't want us to suffer because we have suffered enough. So we as women would like him in his position because he is a defender of the weak. When he leaves, no one else will fight for us.
Many human rights activists have also expressed dismay over the Interior Minister Kindiki's nomination. They link him to the deaths of over 60 people during demonstrations against tax hikes and the cost of living crisis in July and August.
The appointment of Kindiki Kindude to be our new deputy president is a sad moment for our country. Today, a lot of us are wearing black because we are mourning, because at the time during the protest he was CS Interior. We have over 61 people who lost their lives and we still have no accountability. We don't know the rogue police who shot them. There's no case, there's no compensation in terms of victims' families.
In the aftermath of Kenya's anti-government protests, Ruto appointed some of the opposition members in his cabinet to appease the protesters. These members belong to the same camp Gachagua ditched to side with Ruto ahead of the 2022 polls. But after Ruto joined hands with them, Gachagua has complained of being sidelined politically. He now says the president just needed him to gather votes from the vote-rich region of Mount Kenya, where he hails from. And Ruto's new deputy pick is also from the vote-rich Mount Kenya region. But the process to appoint a new deputy president is going to meet some legal challenges. And the coming days will decide the outcomes of this political face-off in Kenya. For more on this, we have with us Stella Agara, a governance analyst who is joining us live from Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Stella, the deputy president claims that his life is under threat. How seriously should these allegations be taken, and what mechanisms exist in Kenya's political or legal system to investigate and deal with such claims?
I think, first of all, we need to take note that Kenya is one of those countries that has a very high politically charged environment. And for this particular government, I don't think there has been reprieve. Generally, the situation has been high-level politics ever since they were elected. And so when a deputy president makes such a claim, however much it may be assumed that they are political gimmicks, it must be taken seriously. It is the responsibility of the state to protect the president, his deputy, and other state officers. And so for that reason, number one, the claim should be taken seriously. The second reason has got to do with the fact that it's apparent that he has fallen out with his boss, His Excellency the President. And it is also apparent that there is a direct and very serious attempt at ensuring that he is not going to be in office in the coming days. And so there are people who may be getting impatient by the fact that he's fighting. Majority of them would have hoped that they would have outwitted him and sent him home without a fight. And so obviously, when he finds himself in a situation where he's fighting in court, he has attempted ways of defending himself. By the time the process has proceeded to the Senate, some of the claims in the petition had actually been dropped. There are people who may be assuming that he will eventually not be impeached. And of course, they have reasons to eliminate him. Because of those reasons, I think it's extremely important to take the claim seriously and, of course, to provide him security. He did claim that his security has been pulled off. The vehicles that were being used by his team have been impounded. And so he's basically a deputy president, at least because the court stayed the procedure for his impeachment. So basically, he's a deputy president who's moving around without security. The reason why he had that security in the first place is because as a deputy president, he would be targeted by other people who would be political detractors. And now, would-be political detractors from outside of government and those in government could very easily take advantage of the fact that he doesn't have security. And I think it's quite a breach. Even if there's a designate awaiting that position, it's extremely important to keep his security. Are there mechanisms to address this issue? Definitely, yes. There are mechanisms to investigate the claims he has made of the possibility of poisoning by the National Intelligence Service agents. We have the Police Reform Authority that also has a responsibility to look at some of the crimes committed by security officials. And of course, that claim can also be taken up by any police station in Kenya currently. And the Inspector General of the Police is supposed to answer as to why the life of the state officer is in trouble.
And Stella, now with the Deputy President accusing President Ruto of being vicious, how could this public fallout affect Ruto's image domestically and also within his party?
You know, one of the surprising things is that as it is right now, Ruto has nothing to lose. In terms of image, I think he pretty much lost whatever was left of his image during the protests and, of course, with the actions that he has taken after the election. So in terms of the citizens and how they view him, nothing has changed. If anything, it has just gotten worse, especially amongst the people who are loyal to the deputy president, because for them, they feel betrayed, they feel cheated because they had hoped that they were going to be stakeholders in this government and that they were going to be able to enjoy certain favors just by virtue of the fact that they had one of their own as a deputy president. In his political party, however, one of the things that is going to happen is that there will be much less trust towards him, because if he can do this to a deputy president, to a person who sacrificed a lot to support him in the elections, then anybody else is dispensable. So I know very many of his lieutenants are very vigilant. Even as they collaborate with him, as they work with him, they know that he could very easily turn against them. The other thing is that they are all definitely on high alert because they're not sure who's going to be the next culprit or who's going to be the next victim of the president's vengeance or actions or retaliation based on who he views as his enemies or what he's trying to plan for the next election in 2027. In terms of anybody planning to collaborate with him for coalitions for the next election, I think he has made his life extremely complicated because then everybody who has seen the action he has taken knows that if they get into government with him, they may be mistreated in the very same way. His Excellency the President, also rebelled against his boss in the last term, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta. But then the President Uhuru did not treat him the way he has treated his deputy now. And of course, politicians are watching, politicians are learning, and they're going to really shun the possibility of being in a coalition with him. Does he have an easy job creating a coalition that is going to deliver the votes for him? No, he has a very difficult job ahead. It will take a lot of political genius for him to consolidate the vote. I don't put it past the president to be able to think of a strategy that would work because he has always been a political genius. It's just that the assignment is going to be quite huge, and I'm yet to see what strategy he will deploy.
Yes, and just quickly, what are the potential consequences of this dispute on Kenya's political stability, future elections, and could this signal deeper divisions within Ruto's administration?
I think, let me first of all give you an absolute answer in terms of deeper divisions in the Ruto administration. This is about to get worse. This is about to get worse, especially because, and you have shown the press conference that the deputy president did when he walked out of hospital. You can tell that he is willing to expose more about the Ruto administration. And the more he exposes, the more cracks that there are going to be in the Ruto administration, the more Kenyans are going to actually have factual truth about some of the weaknesses and the fault lines in Ruto's administration. And so in terms of that, then there's going to be quite some weakness. In terms of future elections, this move to impeach the deputy president, the move to betray his partner, the move to separate with his deputy president has definitely complicated the process for him and really muddied the waters because everybody has gone back to the drawing board. There are certain people who did not think that they have an opportunity, but now they're definitely going to position themselves because as of now, the president's camp has been weakened slightly because he has lost quite a huge basket of votes. The other thing that has happened towards the coming elections is that Kenyans have already started asking themselves a lot of questions about exactly what do we want as leaders. For the first time this past weekend, the church actually stood up to speak against the president and his conduct, and they said that they prayed him into power and they're going to pray him out of power. So he's beginning to get resistance from quarters where nobody was challenging him, and I think it's going to be extremely difficult for him. In terms of stability, I think as a nation, we cannot continue to have those tribal conversations. We cannot continue to have elections that are organized around tribe. And I think this move that they have made is really driving a wedge amongst the people, and it would be extremely important for us to engage in a lot of healing to avoid situations where this kind of polarity will cause violence after the elections.
Stella.
And of course, it looks really bad even out there. Even for investors, it's really damaging for the country.
Stella, thank you very much. Unfortunately, we have to leave it there. Thank you for being with us on Firstpost Africa.
Thank you for having me.
Firstpost decodes the U.S. election, explains how America chooses its president, your primer on the race to the White House, everything you need to know about how America votes and its global implications. U.S. Election Explained, every Monday and Thursday only on Firstpost.